Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Every once in a while, we have to bring out the big dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God help us. It's time for Danny Unleashed. Sponsored by Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Go to eastonroofing.com for more.
You're listening to the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Time for a little Danny Unleashed. It's brought to you by our friends, as you heard there, Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. Easton Roofing's getting you back to work, getting you back to life faster. You've got a problem with your roof or your guttering, your insulation. Easton Roofing can help you out, and right now is the time to call Easton Roofing. With material cost rising due to shortages caused by the COVID virus, it's imperative you call right now. Easton Roofing, you can get the best price on a new roof repairs, gutters, and attic installation. They bought in bulk early, so their material costs have not risen like a lot of other companies have, but that will come about. It won't last. At some point, they're going to be back out there on the market buying more materials, and those costs are going up everywhere in construction, as a matter of fact, with them expected to rise maybe 30, even 40% this summer. The best time to get a new roof, get a repair on your roof, gutters, is right now. It'll never be cheaper than this moment. Call Easton Roofing at 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426. You can find them online at eastonroofing.com. Estimates always free. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. Commercial and residential. That's Easton Roofing, eastonroofing.com. Mr. Clinkscale, sir, how are you?
Doing all right. Good to sort of see the sunshine. We had it nice and bright for a while, but it's better than the gloom that we've had recently. So always nice, and maybe we're finally turning the corner towards that warmer weather won't even be noted. It'll just
be nice.
Yeah, it'll just be nice for a while. One thing that seems like the last few years is that we've completely lost spring and fall. It's like winter, then it's summer. Maybe we'll have spring this time around.
I think we just remember the bad days more. I think we're like, coaches. The losses hurt more than the wins help. We maybe don't savor the good days as much as we dwell on the bad days. Do you think that's possible, Danny? You being the glass, three-quarters empty kind of guy you are?
Well, I think the weather is certainly completely different than it used to be.
There are more extremes, so maybe it seems like
extreme. So maybe, I'm sure there's some of that too, and I'm sure the year that
I don't see it, Danny. I haven't seen any extreme weather in a long time. I remember lots of tornadoes in March. I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't have 3 hot months, 3 decent months, 3 cold months, 3 decent months, 3 hot months again. The hot and the cold have extended their stays a little bit. I see what you're saying.
I think the only thing we're waiting for that we're not waiting for, but I think the only thing we haven't experienced is like it's July 2nd and it's 42 in Kansas City. That's about the only thing that hasn't happened.
Yeah, I love how you drag me into these conversations I had no intention of having, but I will say this. While global warming was a terrible name.
It was a terrible name.
To put on what is climate change, the climate change is trending in the warmer direction. So I think you're going to have, like, the violent weather comes about from the energy and the heat, right? The extremeness of the weather.
Yep.
And so we are going to trend towards more likely to have a 75-degree Christmas than we are,
a 40-degree
Independence Day. It is one of probably the biggest gaffes made by intelligent people ever was calling it. If they'd called it climate change from the beginning, we'd probably be a lot further along in accepting that.
No, we wouldn't.
I think we would have been further. But the global warming
there'd be less jokes.
Right.
You wouldn't have
I'm ready for some heat. Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't have the the day it's like 55 on like June 1st. You wouldn't have the guy going, "Tell me about global warming today."
Right.
We wouldn't have that guy.
Right.
But that it's all based upon your wallet. That everyone's many people's decision is based upon their wallet, and not making an effort.
That is true, and in reality, if somebody is of a certain age, they probably think, well, that's not a problem I'm going to have to worry about. I don't care if the ice cap is melting and it's half the size that it was.
All right. now I'm officially changing the subject.
Good. That's fine. Yeah.
Where do you want to go, Danny? Do you want to talk Shaka Smart? Shaka
sure.
Gone?
I'll talk
Shaka
a little
Gone.
Shaka Smart. Yeah.
What's a better job, Texas or OU? I love the coaching carousel in college football and college basketball because I think they're the most, as far as like major brands, right? Like they have more power. College football and college basketball coaches have more power than anybody else. They have more power than Andy Reid has with the Chiefs, than Brett Veach has with the Chiefs. They're Brett Veach plus Andy Reid, and so there's no more important decision for an athletic director to make than hiring a football and basketball coach. Because even if you suck at fundraising, if you've got two winners, they'll fundraise for you. So the most important thing for athletic directors is to hire a winning football and basketball coach. So I love this time of year. I love these discussions. Which job is better, Texas, OU, Indiana?
I would still say that Indiana might be the best job, but Texas, I think, is close. And Oklahoma, to me, Oklahoma is certainly third because I think they have many of the challenges that Texas has, but they're in a lesser recruiting base.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Why is it 4 of their last 5 coaches been to the Final Four? Texas has only had what? They've only had Rick Barnes and Shaka Smart.
Since
but before
99.
Barnes, they had,
Tom
Penders, and they weren't going. Indiana, Mike Davis did go, but since then, no one's even sniffed it at Indiana. Well, Tom Crean got a 1 seed, but then got bounced by my Orange in like the second round.
Maybe I'm just still slightly living the past on Indiana, but it just seems to me like pedigree programs in a sport where you don't need 30 good players should be able to resuscitate itself because your fan base expects it. They support the team. There is some history there. But, hey, the longer it goes, maybe that ship has sailed now. I mean, it's been so long since Indiana has really been a blue blood. I mean, you can say they've been okay, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
We looked it up from 87 to 2000, the last 13 years of Knight, post his national championship in 87. Curtis, what did we find? 1 Elite 8 and like 2 Sweet 16s?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now just to make sure we have it right.
That sounds about right. He wasn't doing that much.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really is. You got to go back to 87. And to be honest with you, that 87 team was kind of wonky because they had a couple of junior college kids. Keith Smart was a junior college kid. And the 6'10 kid was not Benson. I always want to call him Kent Benson. But they had 2 JC kids that played prominent roles on that team. And
right.
That was the end of those guys being worth anything.
And that was, I think, a time where, I don't think Jim Boeheim had quite found his form as a coach. I think he was good at gathering talent then. That team had no business losing to Indiana in the championship game.
Agreed.
Yes. From 87 through 2000, the Final Four in 92 and Elite 8 in 93, and everything else was no better.
But they did have some good teams because I remember KU knocked off a top
93,
number 1 seeded Indiana team. I think they're probably close now, but I guess I still somehow think that if you were a program like Indiana that once was that great, and you come from a place where they really care about basketball, and you're not really that far from Chicago, and I don't know, it seems to me like you should be able to do better.
I think you should, but I think if you get the right coach, right? If you hire Bill Self, you'll win. Like Bill Self will win anyway.
I think yes, I agree with that. I think that if you get a top 5, 8 coach, that coach is going to win anywhere, just about. I think.
But
especially now.
Is there any program that'll win with like a number 30 coach?
Well, I would say no more. Maybe 10 years ago, you could just say we're Kentucky, we're whatever. It's been so long, for instance, that Mike Krzyzewski's been the coach of Duke. There's no way to judge that because there hasn't been another coach. Syracuse had the same coach forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I think that, and now the playing field's going to be way more level. So I think the hire is going to be even more important. It's probably one of the reasons that Shaka Smart went to Marquette, because he probably figures way less heat there. Landscape's completely different. I can win at Marquette.
And they won't roast me if I'm not in the Final Four every year.
And maybe what he'll feel like is I should go back to the way I played before instead of getting – he's got an outstanding talent there. But he's had to adapt the way that I think he's comfortable coaching to the talent that's been there, which is probably wise, but it's not what made him a hot ticket. And maybe he's just not that good a coach. There's certainly that possibility.
I definitely think that's part of it. I think the one takeaway that I take from the Shaka Smart era at Texas is if you're going to go hire a guy, don't hire him on a couple of NCAA tournament runs.
Right, because he didn't even win that league. Yeah, he didn't even win the league.
And that's what we all talked about when he got the job. Well, we're going to find out. Remember at the press conference, well, I know a little something about beating Kansas. Well, he finally did in his final year, sweep them in the regular season. But, he never scared a conference championship. And if you want to consistently beat the blue blood in your league, if you want to consistently contend for national championships, it starts by winning your league. You don't consistently contend for national championships finishing sixth.
Only 3 times has he finished higher than third in his league, and he's never won one.
Right, and they had some really nice players the last few years at Texas.
Yeah.
And only when he had a veteran team this year did he achieve at a higher level.
I don't mind the hire for Marquette because I think he's still got to butt heads with Villanova, and he won't top Villanova. He's got to butt heads with Creighton. It's pretty much up and running at Creighton now, not as a national championship contender, but it's up and running as in they're in the tournament every year, and then they're in the top 25. He clearly has figured it out. I think I loved Omaha when I've been up to Omaha. I think it's a great little
and
town,
also and you're in a situation where it's a complete anomaly. I mean, teams have to come to your place and play in front of 16,000 people every time.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes you that gives you a huge advantage.
Yeah, but so he'll go up there, but I give him the opportunity, like you said, to kind of round out and become a better coach. But he needs to get an X and O guy on his bench, because nothing that they run. Do you ever watch Texas and go, "Wow"?
No.
Like, wow, look at the effort. Wow, look at the way they're defending. No. Do you ever look at him and go, "Wow, look at that set. Holy cow"?
No, what he built his reputation on was the scrambling defense and turning people over and making it mayhem, and he sort of put that in his back pocket when he got to Texas because he felt like I can't just have 11 guys out there that I run in and they're all kind of the same and they're going to run and jump and trap and I've got better players than that. So I got to play differently.
So your pecking order would be what? 1, 2, 3. Indiana, Texas, OU.
I think I've talked myself out of it. I think I'm going to go Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma.
I think I'm going to go Oklahoma, Texas, Indiana. I think the Indiana job sucks, and I apologize. I got some neighbors that they went to Indiana. Should they be listening right now? They usually have lives and are not, but every now and then I'll apologize to Yoni at my daughter's soccer game tomorrow. They're IU folks, and I mean, like I don't see it coming back there. Like we said, it can come back if you hire the right guy. But like Beard is that guy, and Indiana's clearly not going shock and awe with a contract because they've sat with their thumb in their rear end and allowed OU and Texas to come open. And maybe they have. Maybe they made a huge run at Beard, and Beard said, listen, I'm here and Shaka's out, and I want to hear what my alma mater, Texas, has to say before I go anywhere. So maybe they will double back around. You never know what's going on with the agent and the AD. So maybe Indiana did. But, like, to me, if Indiana was serious, they would come and offer, like, $6 million a year to Chris Beard. Like, if you want to be one of the big boys – like, there's a phrase, you can't piss with the pups if you're going to run with the wolves. The wolves are Duke, $9-10 million for Mike Krzyzewski, right? Kansas, $5 million ready to give the guy a raise whenever the NCAA thing goes away. You can't be out there nickel diamond guys, right? There is a home run hire sitting there for any blue blood. Like the word is that some people are saying Roy Williams is going to retire. He kissed the court. Who was telling us that? Travis Hancock at FNZ in Charlotte on the drill on Monday said, hey, Roy went out at the end of the game and kissed the court. And that's kind of the symbol of North Carolina. Like, this is my last time here. I'm kissing the court. And everybody's transferring out of North Carolina. If North Carolina's open, I'm going to tell you who they should hire. It's not Hubert Davis, and it's not Jerry Stackhouse, and it's nobody who played there. It's Chris freaking Beard. Because there's only one guy that has been to an Elite Eight and then almost won a national championship in back-to-back years and is playing at a program or is coaching at a program with inferior facilities, no real history in the sport, yet this guy is there. There's only one. It's Chris Beard at Texas Tech. And it's impossible for me to believe that the end game for Chris Beard is to always be the little engine that could at Texas Tech.
Right. I mean, he's checked every box when I've watched his teams play. There's no question about that. And then he's actually the last couple of years he's managed to pull some big-time players to Tech also. I don't see – he's got a lot of fire, but he seems to be sensible. I mean, he has Bobby Knight connections, but he seems to have taken the good part of Bob Knight and, put the other part way back.
Well, he's shooting videos with his players on the planes after games, not choking them.
Yes.
And those are always good. You can tell the players love him.
Yeah. I mean, he's fantastic. And so that to me is like, if anybody wants to claim they're a blue blood, then go pay whatever it takes to get Chris Beard. Otherwise, shut up and sit down. And that's here ended the lesson on Indiana. The Missouri Tigers. What do you make of them? They're 4 seniors we knew were going to be gone, although they can come back. But in a press conference 2 weeks ago, Conzo Martin said, no, it's time for them to move on. Like, they got to go to the next step of life. Like, they're going to have to come back and convince me as to why they want to come back. Like, hey, I want to get another degree, or I want to do this, I want to do that. I was like, wow, that's really noble. Like, and then Xavier Pinson, his best player that was due to come back, says, I'm out of here, coach. Like, what do you make of what's going on at Missouri?
Well, I think that's a bad sign, and something clearly was, awry because, he just benched him in the final game, and he really, he didn't hit shots, but he had 5 assists in a reasonably short period. He played 18 minutes, so it wasn't like he was horrendous for what he was supposed to be doing, and he really was the difference in the game, and the fact that he wasn't out there and he wasn't good. From a scoring standpoint, but then he was a non-participant. They got some good performances from other people and still lost. Now they got to transfer in that they've got to
Amari Davis, the kid from Green Bay. He'll have 3 years left.
Right. So
lead guard.
He looks like a player.
17 points, three boards, 2 assists. He's not an assist guy. He's certainly not a 3-point guy. He's about 28% from the field, but he's a guy who can score, at least at a lower level.
I think it was.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Have those numbers in the SEC.
You're right.
28% against Wisconsin Green Bay competition.
Yeah, Horizon
and he
League
out-athleted some guys to the rim.
Yep.
And he might be a fine player, but I'm just like any thought that if he ups his scoring, he's not going to.
No.
The numbers are not going to go up. You don't come from Wisconsin Green Bay to the SEC and the numbers go up.
And blow up, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but he was a freshman. This isn't usual grad transfer type of thing. So, I mean, that's I'm just trying to, be glass half full here for a second.
He was actually a sophomore, but you get the extra year.
Right. Okay, right.
He was 16 a game a year ago and 17 this year.
Well, you get the extra year if the school will offer you the extra year.
Right. But when that's
you get the extra year if somewhere.
Right. Correct.
So just
but I think it's nothing.
Understand.
It's nothing but a negative that Xavier Pinson left. He was somebody, as I said, who was he was talking. He seemed like a team leader type of guy and the type of player you were really going to be happy to have back. And they're going to lose other players likely. I think next year's just going to be another year where, could you prove it again, Gonzo?
How many games do they win next year? Normal college basketball season.
I think that it smells like a sub 500 SEC team with
below 500.
I think they might finish last.
2-3 losses. Well, in the current landscape of college basketball, I think you really have to wait till later because there's so many.
Well, right. They may grab 4 players. I agree, but with what they're cooking, now,
with what it looks like right now, they don't look good. Right, no. Their top recruit is 150 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a big class.
They're all in the hundreds. It's a big class, and I'm sure one of those guys will be a diamond in the rough. But you need 3 guys, and there aren't 2. Like if you wanted to say, hey, we'll get 1 diamond in the rough out of this class, we'll get a guy who's an NBA second-round pick, right? We get a Kim English, or we get a Marcus Denmore, right? One of those guys turns into that, and then Pinson puts it all together and has the great senior year after recognizing, hey, I got to go. I got to make it work. Bust his butt all summer. And I'd be like, okay, you got 2 guys. Where's the third? You're not going to make it. You got to have at least 3 really good players. And that's not there. I mean, I'll buy the math says, okay, one of those guys will be better than his ranking. Not 3 of them.
Mm-mm.
And not as freshmen.
No, not that far down. And it's going to be great to see Pinson, who's now I'm seeing the list of teams who have reached out to him, include Auburn, Kentucky, and Arkansas. So it's a decent chance he stays in the SEC and plays Gonzo twice next year.
Ooh.
You think he won't be a little motivated?
Ooh.
Not good.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anywhere else, please.
Yeah.
And also, imagine him playing for Auburn. It's just free wheels it.
5 minutes after it came out, he was in the portal. It was Auburn's interested. Bruce Pearl's like, hello. And now
that's great that Bruce. That's great that Bruce Pearl's excited. His head might blow up when he hears all the clanking going on from 3.
Xavier Pinson will try your patience.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. Danny Unleashed, Danny Clinkscale with us from DannyClinkscale.com. He's brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. I can't stress it enough. This is real. Anyone who does anything anywhere around construction, the COVID virus has really shut down the supply line, and we're just now beginning to feel what the shutdown has done. And supplies are tough, and that means prices are going to be going up on roofs. 30, some people saying even as much as 40% because of the material costs. Easton Roofing bought a lot in advance, so right now you can save a lot. While the prices are rising all around them, they've still got quality prices. Now, that's going to change, but call 913-257-5426. Estimates always free with Easton Roofing. Angie's List Super Service Award winner, Best of Houses Award winner, commercial and residential, more than 1,000 jobs completed last year alone. That's Easton Roofing, getting you back to life faster.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors, offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
All right, the Joe's Kansas City Barbecue burnt end of the hour answer. How many Hall of Famers have won the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award? This list will grow at some point when James Harden becomes eligible for the Hall of Fame because he won.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
How many Hall of Fame? Well, was Havlicek the first winner?
Yeah, Havlicek must have.
He is not on the list of players who have won the award.
So I don't think they had the award.
They probably didn't have
just
the
kind of
award.
had the role.
Right.
Yep.
They probably didn't have the award.
Hall of Famer 6-man. Danny Manning won it, but he's not in the Hall of Fame. Or is he? I don't know. Everybody gets in there.
I don't think
he's not
is,
in the
no.
end. Which Hall of Fame are you talking about?
I guess
Well, there isn't an NBA one. There's the Naismith Hall of Fame, which is a turd, by the way, but that's all they have.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. Let me check. No, he's not in the Hall of Fame. Not in the Naismith Hall of Fame.
And then there's a College Hall of Fame, too, isn't there? I mean, there's one here.
Yeah.
Right. It's right here.
Right, there's one here, but I think there's another one, too.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think you're wrong.
I think there is another one, but anyway.
No.
Nope. Wrong. Next.
That sounds like it's probably a small list.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. In the Hall of Fame, that's the part,
because first of all, they haven't, obviously, because we were just bringing up John Havlicek, they haven't had the award for that long.
Detlef Shrimp's not in there, is he?
Nope.
Vinnie Johnson's not in there, is he? Dennis Rodman?
Nope.
Was Scottie Pippen ever a
Rodman's not in the Hall of Fame?
He wasn't on the list that I saw.
Well, maybe your list sucks, Curtis.
That's not impossible.
Is Rodman, he's not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know that he won.
Well, his number, he won the 6-man with the Pistons, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did. He didn't actually. That's why I didn't look him up. He didn't win the award, which is kind of amazing. Yeah, he should have won it when him and John Sally were coming off the bench. He was unreal.
Maybe they didn't consider him the 6th man. Maybe he wasn't the first man off the bench. I don't know.
Excuse me.
Yeah, this is.
I'm gonna say 0.
Yeah, this could be a rabbit hole.
There are 3.
That would be an interesting answer. I'm looking for.
Bobby Jones, the Sixers.
Oh yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame though.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
I know. I almost forgot. I was like, let me check him and make sure. Oh, there he is.
He wasn't that good.
Well, he
wasn't
score
known
a bunch
as
of points when he was in the ABA.
A guy who wasn't known as a 6th man, but came back and won one later in his career. Bill Walton won it with the 86 Celtics. And
86 Celtics.
And 2-time winner was a teammate of Walton's on that team, Kevin McHale.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And
they insisted on starting Cornbread Maxwell.
Well, right.
Dennis Rodman was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame in 2001. His jersey, his number 10 jersey, was retired by the Pistons on April Fool's Day of 2011. And he was inducted later that year.
That's appropriate.
That's the day to do it.
Probably
I'll
why
tell
they
you
did.
that right now. Joe's Kansas City Barbecue, what we were playing for. Listen, beautiful weekend of weather. If you're going to be grilling out, get to the Kansas City Barbecue store. 119th and Strang Line. You can find them online at thekansascitybbqstore.com. The grills, the utensils, the sauces, the rubs, the fuel, even the meat. It's all right there at 119th and Strang Line. Go see the guys there. It's where I buy my grill and my sauces, rubs, utensils, everything. It's at the Kansas City Barbecue Store. They do phenomenal work there, so go see them at 119th and Strang Line Road. Danny, excuse me, I got sneezes going on here. I don't know if you could tell.
Seasonal issue?
Yeah, I guess.
I see the buds blooming out. I'm like the luckiest person in the world. I have no allergies at all. I am so fortunate.
Must be nice to be so, slim and odor-free.
Never got sick. Then, of course, I had cancer, but, that was the big payback.
Does that count as being sick? I think it does.
I think it did. Yeah, up to then, I was kind of lucky and then not so lucky, but lucky since. And no allergies. Yeah. They didn't crop up after that.
Okay. Well, good for you, Danny. I'll stick with the allergies. I'll skip the cancer.
Good plan.
Correct selection.
Correct selection, indeed.
Listen, now I forgot where I was going to go. I had a point.
How about talking? How about the Royals? They look like they're going to multiple beat people now. Apparently, thinking that Nicky Lopez is out.
And and they're going to play the part-time journeyman,
right?
Because that always works when you give him 500 at bats, and after he's been given 200 at bats for the last few years for a reason. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Alberto. Hanser Alberto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I draw a blank too. I was having a discussion with somebody the other day, and that person said, they're going to go with a platoon at second base, and I said Alberto and and Lopez. I'm kind of disappointed. And I'm like, who's playing short? Because I thought he was saying Adalberto.
Oh, Adalberto, yeah.
So, and then we got Witt and Witt. So you're going to have to clear up some things here. No.
So trade one of them? Is that what you're getting at?
No. Just have to say Witt Jr. every time, I guess.
Listen, think about how good the Royals would be if Whit Merrifield was playing second base, if Adalberto Mondesi realized his potential. Or how about this? Mondesi in center, Bobby Witt Jr. sometime later this year, being that hit-the-ground-running type of superstar the Royals haven't had since Carlos Beltran.
Right.
And then Witt at second, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Whit Merrifield at second, Mondesi in center, Sal Perez at catcher. You've kind of got the up the middle covered, then, don't you?
You do. If as you said, the caveat was Bobby Witt Jr. hits the ground running star, and Mondesi doesn't play 6 weeks of good baseball all year.
If Bobby Witt Jr. is the real deal and Mondesi comes around,
they get a chance to be good.
I think you got a chance to be good. If Witt is one of those, if he's this star that they're projecting him to be, whenever he gets here, which I'm glad he's down, because just for service time, and I also think it was impossible to think he was going to hit the ground running after 100 and some odd at-bats in rookie ball. I think that's farcical. Someone will do it one day, perhaps. I don't want to be the team that's betting on a guy to do it. And I don't want to be risking what people think is generational talent by screwing up his head by having failure at the big league level.
How much did A-Rod play in the minors? Not much. But that's and
my God.
Did Trout play a season maybe?
3 years.
Did he really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
3 years. People think these guys just.
Well, he's a high school guy, yeah. So short season A ball, and then probably single A, double A up. Yeah, that makes sense.
A-Rod 94, and then was up.
What do you mean 94? What does 94 mean?
1994. He was up the year that for a little bit, the year that he was first in the minors.
Wow.
Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah, so
how much
minor league at bats, he played 193 games.
193 games?
Yeah, still that's a hell of a lot more than Bobby Witt Jr. has.
Yeah, and 290 for Mike Trout.
Right, so I can't. First of all, the service time thing, if they don't want to even say that that's part of the deal, fine. But I think it's great. We're not, and some people bring up Brady Singer. Well, what you're giving away then is a year for a pitcher at age 29 who, he could be toast by then. But Witt, going to be at age 26, right in his absolute prime. Of course, the prime, that's the real prime now. I used to say 28 to 32. I don't think that's the case anymore. It was steroid driven, I think.
Yeah, no, the prime is the 25 to
29 maybe.
Yeah. But I do think that there's reason to believe, and I also like the fact that Nick Pratto is hitting. That gives him a chance to start having some depth. Right? I'm not convinced that Grady's hitting in spring training. I'm not ready to declare him back to being a top prospect or anything, but he does seem to have figured some things out.
Well, one thing,
and I watched a couple of his at-bats in one of the games that was on TV, and he didn't look like a guy who just got lucky on a bad, crappy pitch from a minor leaguer.
Right. And these people are obviously more learned baseball people, and that's probably what they'd say to you, but it just seems like baseball has the weirdest relationship to spring training performance. They say it matters. They say it doesn't matter when they want it not to matter, and then they act on it as if it matters in the case of, say, Nicky Lopez. They're supposed to have all this faith in Nicky Lopez. Then he goes out and does nothing this spring, and he's headed to the minors, which is about the last place you ever thought he was going to be.
Well, and I the thing that was going to get me was if they gave Bobby Witt the job because he hit in the spring, then every time a guy hits in the spring, you got to give him the job.
Right.
And every time a guy doesn't hit in the spring, you got to demote him. Like, that's a dangerous precedent to set.
Right.
Spring training is for getting work done.
I know, and I think that's what everybody always says, and then they don't do it. Now, if they want to say to me, It wasn't the fact that Nicky Lopez was hitting 110. It was the quality of his at-bats, and he just looked lost up there, and he needs to find something again, and he was retooling his swing and all that stuff. But all I know is he was hitting 110, and now he's going to the minors.
Yeah, listen, I'm all about the service time part, so that's all I need to. But I think it'll be good. What do you make of the Royals, according to Jeff Passan, working on a contract extension, a long-term deal to buy out some free agent years with Mondesi, and of course, now he's changed agents. What do you make of that whole situation?
Well, we've talked about it before, and I take it from two standpoints. First of all, if they believe the things they say about him, it's a good idea. But he's got enough of a track record right now. I'll have to see the terms of the contract, but I'm completely up in the air about whether he's actually ever going to realize even 50% of what they're talking about. Just to become a consistent, good major league player, not some kind of star. Now, if they gave him a fairly lusty contract, I wouldn't be excited about that. But it would show that they believed in the things they said, which I would at least give a little bit of credit for. But he's been here a while now. I mean, and the pattern's the same. How long do you have to watch somebody do the same thing over and over before you think that's who he is? Well,
listen, I'm with you. And I'm fine with, I'll roll with Dayton Moore. The man won a world championship. Took an organization that was in the toilet and won a world championship. If he puts his money down on Adalberto Mondesi, then I'll bet that he's probably right, because he's been really right to this point. I'm with you. I want to see the contract. But what I'm tired of is I've heard them slap him on the back for years now, and it's not come together. When do they challenge him? And maybe they do behind closed doors. But at some point, why not challenge him publicly?
Well, I think they did when they signed Esky in that offseason and said, we're not just handing you this job. You got to go out and do something. And that didn't work either. So I don't know. I mean, to me, that was kind of at least a gentle prod that you're kind of a spoiled brat, and we need more from you. And it just hasn't happened. Yeah. Let's, I don't think we realize it because, he's a Latin player, but he was a spoiled rich kid.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's impossible to get that out of somebody.
I don't know that he was spoiled. He was a rich kid.
Well,
oftentimes in sports, anyone who's rich is considered spoiled. But
well, I would say, what I would say is that the evidence that I've seen so far would lean me to think in that direction.
I agree.
That he seemed entitled. I've got all this talent. Watch me go. Well, we'll watch you go every now and then and go, ooh, wow. And then for 6 weeks, he just looks like an automatic out.
And you go, ooh.
I mean, when he's bad, he's bad.
Well, and I think they're so far down the road, you can't take once. Dayton Moore said to me last week when we had him on, he's like, well, the switch hitter, and when you come out of the lineup, you got to keep both those swings in tune. And when you don't play, it's tough to do that. I mean, I think he kind of said there, listen, he's got to go out and play. He's got to fight through the nagging things and play to keep the swing sharp. Because I think what they feel like is, when he plays and he's sharp, he's good. But then what happens is he gets a nagging injury, so he gets out of tune, and then he needs like 3 weeks to get the swings back in effect. Well, then, like somewhere along in the minors, instead of pushing him up every level when he hadn't really earned it, make him earn it. And when he doesn't, then strip one side of the plate. Whatever he's naturally as a hitter, then put him on that and say, we're taking away if you're going to be hurt all the time, we can't have you try and, needing 3 weeks to get your swings dialed in every time you get hurt, because you get hurt a lot, kid. And I think there was a challenge. I think Dayton Moore subtly in the interview challenged him to fight through the little things.
I'm looking here, his slash line, 251, 284, 415, just the first three. Since 2016, which is when he made his debut in the regular season, there are only 3 players with at least 1,100 plate appearances that are below all 3 of those numbers.
Who are they?
Austin Hedges, Adam Engel, and Alcides Escobar.
Ooh.
Well, that's what I said. I say, let's not be talking about this guy as Fernando Tatis. Let's talk about him as Escobar. The guy I've compared him to is Sean Dunston.
At this point,
I'll take Sean Dunston.
That's exactly where I was going. At this point, I'll take Sean Dunston.
Some Sean Dunston. Bring it on.
Yeah, number 1 overall pick that never quite lived up to that. That's what he feels like to me. So, we're talking to Danny Clinkscale. It's Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. Commercial and residential, locally owned and operated, family business. They can get you back to life, get you back to work faster. Call 913-257-5426. Inspections always free. Estimates are free as well. No payment collected until you're 100% satisfied. It's Easton Roofing. Find them online at eastonroofing.com.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing. And, Joe, there's all kinds of roofing companies in Kansas City. People see their trucks, they see their ads, they see their commercials on TV. What separates you out from the pack?
Danny, there's a lot of roofers in Kansas City that are good roofers that can put a good roof on, but we like to pride ourselves on giving you a good customer service experience. From the first time you call, you're going to get a friendly voice on the phone. We're going to let you know what's happening and when it's happening. And, the other piece is some companies are small enough to do small jobs. Some companies are big enough to do big jobs. We're right there in the middle. We can handle the little stuff. We can handle your repairs all the way up to your big commercial roofs.
So what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you at Easton Roofing?
You can find us at eastonroofing.com, or you can always call us at 913-257-5426. That's 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
You're listening to the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB. A little Danny Unleashed, brought to you by our friends at Easton Roofing. A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau, serving Kansas City for nearly a decade, more than 1,000 jobs last year. Check out their Google reviews, their Yelp reviews. People love the work that's done by Easton Roofing. Danny and I can attest to that. They've been on our roofs. I thought I was headed to major repairs. Easton Roofing came down, showed me pictures, explained exactly what happened, why it went wrong, what was the problem, and how they were going to fix it. And it has been nails ever since. Find them online at eastonroofing.com. Call 913-257-5426 today if you need it. By the way, roofing costs expect to go up 30 to 40% throughout the course of the summer because of shortages in materials. Easton Roofing has secured a lot of materials right now, but eventually they're going to need more, and they're going to get hit with those cost increases that the other guys are experiencing right now. Call Easton Roofing. The best time to get it done is now. 913-257-5426, eastonroofing.com. Danny, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's our guy for this year. What a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, that whole deal is quite interesting. And all I think about every time I hear about deals this way, these days, is just how absolutely overwhelming the quarterback position is in the National Football League. I mean, it is everything. Everything. And franchises are just willing to, Jimmy Garoppolo quarterbacked his team to a Super Bowl. He wasn't a chump, but that's just not good enough. I mean, it's not, and I'm not saying that they should, say that Jimmy Garoppolo is good enough. It's almost too important to have one thing be so important to a sport. That just pounds away at you, and thank goodness here in Kansas City, it's a delight that that's the case.
No doubt. No doubt. Danny Clinkscale, he's the best. Check him out at DannyClinkscale.com. Have a great weekend, Danny.
Thank you, sir.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.